welcome to Fat Girl Speaks. Today is... It's April. Not to brag, but I do know what month it is this time. It's April 28th, and this is episode 270. I'm Amy Beth, also known as the Fat Squirrel on Ravelry and the Fat SQRRL on Instagram. But what is time? Is it not just a construct? Yes. Yes, it is. Oh my gosh. It's so relative, y'all. Einstein. Bringing it home for us in the pandemic. So I want to say thank you. First off, I want to say thank you for everybody who commented on last time's episode. Here, do you want a cookie? Here. Tova made me some jam sandwiches. Well, we made them together. But here you go. You can have some. They're good for you. They're all natural and stuff. Okay. But I want to say thank you. Because the last time I podcasted, so many of you had such good comments. You always do. And sometimes I forget to thank you. So thank you. I always enjoy them so much. And last time, lots of you commented about your remembrance foods or your comfort foods. And I was very tickled to see that lots of you had some form of chicken and dumplings or chicken and noodles. Or that was very, just touched me. And then also, and then your pathways to farming comments were very interesting. Hooray to all of you. I'm so glad that you're also thinky and lovely. Just give you hugs and cookies. Maybe just cookies. I'll arrange some sort of drop off and then I'll wave. That'll work, right? Totally. I'm taking masks today to donate to our park system. Yay! Did you know if you are making masks, there is a website called Masks for Humanity? I will try to remember to put the link in the show notes, but it's like the number 4. Masks for Humanity, and they have a Google Doc sorted by state with what kind of masks organizations are looking for. Because there's several different kinds. So like requirements that they might have, the number that they're looking for. And anyway, so there's some sort of way if you're not sure, if you do want to donate, that is a good resource if you're not sure kind of like where to go. So I just wanted to put that out there. What was I going with that? Oh, that I have to like hand these masks off even though the parks are closed, like all of their like regular buildings are closed. So like we're gonna hand them off. I don't know how that's gonna work, but whatever. It's lovely and fine. Sorry. Oh, other cleanups from last time. Somebody asked me about the game I mentioned that I was playing on my phone. I don't know that I really recommend this game. I mean, I don't not recommend it. But the game is called Sagrada. I actually really like the board game. It has beautiful dice, and it's a dice drafting game, but the dice are like translucent and they're gorgeous. And it's supposed to be, the theme is that you are completing a stained glass window. The Church of Sagrada. You're completing a stained glass window. So you have these translucent dice and there's rules about it. So it's puzzly and you can only put certain things certain places. And it's very satisfying and it's quite lovely. So I really like the physical game of it. We've not played it a ton just because we haven't, but it's really always so attractive. But there is an iOS app and it is kind of just a, the rules are fairly easy to learn. It is attractive but I would say that I do kind of quickly tire of it, but that's probably because I'm not playing against real people. For some reason, I just always play against the AI, which becomes limiting. Not because like I'm like, I crushed it. That it just becomes like sort of limiting. I don't know how to explain it other than to say that, which is not super helpful, but for me anyway. But it is very attractive. And so if you like puzzly kind of games, it's very lovely. And yeah, it's enjoyable. So that iOS game is called Sagrada. Again, I do really like the board game version. We have not played it a ton. There are expansions to it. And that's just to say, like, I don't know about its intense replayability, but I do like it. So yes, what else from last time? Okay, I think that's all. So then I have big thank yous to patrons of the podcast, and I have prizes. So if you've donated to the podcast during the first quarter of 2020, if you've contributed financially to the podcast in the first quarter of 2020, I have prizes for you. So our prizes will be as such. Your options will be some fun self-striping yarn. How should we do this? Okay, so we have these fun Regia Oppo socks. So, and these were donated by a viewer. What? It's true. So there is a limey gray option. There is a tealy rabbit option. There is a pink gray option. And there is a burgundy and blue option. Another option, if you prefer, is I have a skein of Handspun, and this fiber is by Moon Kitten Studios. So this is superwash Tarhi, and it's approximately 400 yards, so it's about a DK worsted weight. It's definitely going to have some of my hair in it because you're welcome. And then I have this skein. So if you want that one, or you can have this skein of Handspun, which I apologize, I don't actually know the yardage or the dyer or the fiber, but I do think it's actually really pretty. And I have not used it yet. So if you like more muted tones, this is definitely like I don't know, I'm really in love with this color lately. Isn't it just gorgeous? And I would say that it is about a DK weight. Yeah, I think that's about right. And it's lovely. It's fair. I always have trouble giving away Handspun because I'm like, I am not the most consistent spinner. But you know what? I don't know. I just tell you that. And then you can decide like where your perfection spectrum lies. And if you prefer perfection, then I have these lovely sock yarn items for you. So there are 6 prizes. So you can choose any of those sock items or any of the Handspun. I have 4 winners. And if you need masks, also tell me that in the description, in your message, and I'll send those out to you. So how you tell me is to email me. The best is AMY, B like boy, MAYS@gmail.com. Or you can use the contact form on my website, which is fatsquirrelfibers.com. Or you can message me on Ravelry. I'm the Fat Squirrel. I check the Ravelry one the least frequently. Those are the ways you contact me. And what I need from you is your real human name and your shipping address. Okay. The prizes go to. The first winner is Samantha T. Samantha. If your email address begins with 2T, STT, and you're Samantha T, that's you. The second prize goes to Savannah R. I think like that's specific enough. Savannah R, just let me know. The third prize goes to Stephanie H. Stephanie H. That's you. And the fourth prize goes to Tina SL. Are you one of those people you want a prize? So, Samantha T, give me your first choice. Savannah R, give me your first and second choice. Stephanie H, give me your first, second, third choice. And Tina, give me your first, second, fourth. Just tell me which one you don't want. And then I'll give you the other one. Actually, give me your fourth choice, because maybe the one you don't want is already taken. Give me your first, second, third, and fourth choice. I don't know. Just tell me lots of things. Okay? Okay. Yeah, I'll get prizes out to you. So anyway, thank you so much. Whether you donated on Patreon, I donated, I don't like that word. Whether you contributed, when you patroned, because you're so fancy and you're a patron. Whether you did that on Ko-Fi or PayPal or Patreon or just mystically, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Okay, so there's that. Now, what else do we have to do? Oh my gosh, so much things. Okay, but let's just chat. I'll put other stuff in. No, let's just chat. I'll put a thing that tells you when to go to Wool if you don't want to chat. I'll do that. Okay? Okay. So how's my week been? It's been crazy. A couple weeks since we've talked last. Oh my gosh, thank you so much for those of you oh my gosh, really though, with my face. Thanks you to so many people who did pre-orders for the National Parks bags. I've gotten the fabric in and I'll be working on those shortly. So yay, that's so excited. I'm so excited I get to make so many of them. One thing I wanted to tell you about though is if you loved that fabric, but you're just like, dude, I do not need another project bag. I had a scrap essentially because I miscut something. It happens. I always get really mad at myself, but I miscut something, so I had an odd size. And look what cute napkins it makes. What? I have no idea what size this actually is because I just used my miscut. But look how cute a napkin it makes, y'all. So if you love that fabric, but you're just like, dude, I don't know. Hawthorne still has some, which is where I got mine. And they were very efficient in their shipping to me through now all 3 of my purchases of this fabric. So they still have some, and if they run out of the black, there's another one. This one is called like Small National Parks posters. But there's also, if you're like, wait, there's no more of this specific one. There's one that has a tan border, and there might be some more of that one. I don't know. I am not endorsed by this company, nor do I receive any discounts. Just giving you the info. But isn't that cute? So yeah, I want to show that to you if you love that fabric, but you're just like, oh no. Also, I thought, would this not make an amazing pillow case? So you could dream of the national parks. Are you kidding me? Be an amazing pillowcase. If you're ordering for a pillowcase, be aware that the orientation of the fabric is opposite that it usually is. Like, usually the horizontal, like, whatever. It's just be aware of the orientation of the fabric. It's super cute. So yeah, I've been tempted about if I have extra, I might have to make a pillowcase. Just saying. I think it would give you good dreams. That seems like a good idea. Anyway, thank you so much to folks who ordered. Hooray. All right, what else? Right, you understand. Like, this is always a little off, but now I don't know what's going on. What else have we been doing? Oh my gosh. So I told you I'm having bike calamities. Last time I told you that I had broken my seat clamp, so I got a new seat clamp, and it works great, except that when I put it on, I kind of put my seat up a little higher. Actually, I think what happened is I think my daughter actually, excuse me, I know she put it on, and I think she just kind of like did the seat to about her height. She has much longer legs than I do, and she's like half as weight wise, so she's like proportioned very differently. So, but when I got on the bike, I was like, oh well, it was like I knew that the seat was a little bit higher, but my right knee's been just a little bit wonky, not wonky, but just a little sore sometimes when I bike, because I have the coaster brakes, so like I don't have hand brakes, and I have a lot of mass to stop. So like and I always use my right leg to brake. I need to get probably hand brakes. Neither here nor there. But I've been noticing that my knee is a little achy. So I thought, oh, this is actually really nice. My seat's up higher. I'm more confident rider than when I started. Because that's usually the thing. Like when you're first starting out, you usually want your seat fairly low just because you can get your feet on the ground easier. But I'm feeling slightly more confident now. Do you feel that? That was a hint. I'm feeling slightly more confident now. So I was really enjoying the seat being up high because you get a better stroke, you have more power, and like it's easier on your knees. It's overall a more pleasant ride, to be honest. Until until I got to the place in the park that we saw more people than we ever see. There's a place where my daughter likes to go up this kind of steep hill and then ride down it. And I was like, I don't feel the need to go up the steep hill right now. So I was just going to like circle around and kind of wait for her and my husband to Daredevil. And I kind of did like a U-turn, and I don't know what happened, but I came off my bike. I don't know if it was, there was like some soft ground, because I kind of like didn't make the U-turn exactly on the pavement. So I like kind of came off the pavement. I don't know if it was that. I know it had something to do with the bike seat being higher, but like all of a sudden I was just underneath of my bike. And then my husband is like running down the hill at full speed. I was basically fine, but I did kind of break myself slightly. I mean, I was super lucky that I didn't hurt myself to the point where I needed to go to a medical facility, but I totally jammed my, because I came down on my elbow, and there's a lot of me, as I have mentioned before. I came down on my elbow, and so it like jammed up into my shoulder, and I think I've like, I don't know if you can bruise a rotator cuff, but I feel like that's what's happened, because like my arm is fine to do this for all of my militant marching exercises, but it doesn't like to do this, to play duck. So, but it's getting better. But it, of course, I've not fallen off my bike in like 2 years. And of course, it's the day and the place in the day where I have I've never seen this many people at the park at once, except for like at the farmer's market. That's true. I could have followed at the farmer's market. But not so many people. Witness me, and as my daughter said, yeah, Mom, it was really weird because it's not even like you were doing anything complicated. Or like it's not even like you were in a dangerous place. I'm like, yes, Toba, I know. And it was like in slow motion because I wasn't going fast because I was U-turning. I mean, I was not wearing shorts and my pants did not rip. So I'm being basically. Oh my gosh. And then when we got home. So luckily we had put the Allen wrench for my bike seat in the, the bag or whatever. So I lowered my seat down and then finished the ride, it was fine. But when we got home, I think because of like, maybe just like the adrenaline of falling and then being a little bit embarrassed, because my shoulder was not hurting then at all. My elbow, like I skinned up my elbow pretty bad, but it just stung. But also I didn't know it at the time, but I have like a bruise that's like this big on my thigh, and it looks so gnarly, which thank goodness, because nothing else, I mean, yeah, I skinned my elbow, but like I'm always a person that I'm like, I would like visual confirmation that I am in pain, and so this helps not feel like I'm faking it. It's only for myself, it's not for other people, although I will happily show you my disgusting bruise if you come over and we talk through this storm door, because it's gross and amazing. Oh, but when we got home and we brought our bikes to the garage, I couldn't get off my bike. Like I couldn't. I think because of the like adrenaline or something. Like I could not. Like I have a girl's bike, like my bike bar. Like if this is the profile, it's not like a straight bar like this, but it goes down. But I don't get on or off my bike that way. I get on and off my bike like I have a high tube because I come over the back of it. Like it's just easier for me. I think because I have more flesh. But when I got on, I just could not rotate my body in that way. Like, I don't know why. I've never had that happen before. But I had to like very clumsily have my husband like come and hold my bike so I could just like fall off of it. In hindsight, it might have been because I had that bad bruise and I just wasn't processing it, but my body was like, no, you can't do that because you're going to smack your leg against that bike seat. We've already done that. I don't know what was going on. It was ridiculous. So I'm not burning my bike again, although I'm going to today. Hopefully my shoulders are okay. Oh my gosh, really though? So many people saw me. People that are clearly dating and like sitting on the tailgate of their truck and like not making out but close. Like 7 other walkers that happen to be walking past at the same time. People with their dogs. The dogs are laughing. Oh my gosh, nobody laughed. Then I had to like yell at my husband because I saw him running and I had to be like, I am okay. So he didn't like freak out. So then I just added more to the like spectacle. If only like we had also been having a dog in a basket that could have run away and again, my pants could have ripped. That would have been great. But it was really a pleasant ride until then. And then after I fell, I still beat my husband up the hill. That's right. Maybe also adrenaline. I don't know. I was pretty excited about that though. It was the first time he's been on the bike this year, but it was really exciting to be like, oh honey, are you okay? As I was riding past. Actually, I probably couldn't breathe well enough to say that, but I was saying it in my head. Oh my gosh. Ridiculous. What else are we doing? Oh my goodness. I'm on my last 7 masks to send out to the parks. So this is over 200, which is very exciting. I don't know why I'm feeling like it's on my list, so I just had to tell you. So I know that it's off the list now. That's something that's been happening. What else has been happening? Caution against speed. That's right. Okay, so after we talked last time, I felt as I was editing, I went through like a major shame spiral about how I was talking about the books that I was enjoying at the moment because I just didn't have anything intelligent to say about them. And please, I mean, I am like being hard on myself in a very small way. I'm not like, it's not like self-flagellation. It's just a recognition of the fact that I think in general, like in the last X number of years, and I think it's easy to just do in our culture in general. It's so easy to take in information. In fact, I remember I was even talking about that last time, about curating the amount of information you take in because there's just so much of it. And so I feel like I have a tendency to just consume information and then not actually digest it or make use of it. And like that's just that's a mindset that I'm in, and then it's only made easier to do by the amount of information I have access to. And it's like a whole thing about like just, again, it's like when you're emotionally in upheaval and you just want to like watch dumb TV because it's enough of a distraction that you're not sitting with yourself and your own emotions and like processing through that, because sometimes that is just way more than you can do at the moment, which is fine. But I've been in that habit for just a little bit too long for my mind. Like I feel like I've been in that habit just a little bit too long. And so editing the last podcast made me realize like, okay. Saying a book is interesting like 8 times is really not helpful to anyone. And like I need to, in some cases, back up and start to process a little bit more information, not just jam knowledge in my face, but actually get some nutrients out of it. Do you like all of my food metaphors that are happening? That just... So, because of that, I have had this book on my shelf for, if I look it's probably been on my shelf for like 8 years. And it's a book called How to Read a Book. And it's by Mortimer. It's by Mortimer. I need a guinea pig named Mortimer because that would be amazing. Or a rabbit. I definitely have not been looking at how to raise meat rabbits lately. Have I ever eaten rabbit? No. Is my backyard approximately 200 square feet? Yeah, no, it's bigger than that. Not much. Okay, sorry. Mortimer Adler and Charles Van Doren. And it's actually a book that was originally published in like 1940, right? Yes, 1940. And then this edition has a new introduction and some editing, like in the 67 or 70, I think, if I'm not mistaken. And it's just between that, and then I'm also listening to a biography of Eleanor Roosevelt by Blanche Wiesen Cook. And between the two of them, it is just such a good lesson in the more things change, the more they stay the same kind of stuff. Like, it was really fun to listen to the introduction of the How to Read a Book because, again, the introduction is written in the late 60s, and he's talking about like the fad of speed reading and how it just, and how they just have access to so much information and how you need to be discerning about the information. And I was like, oh man, here we are 40, 50 years later. Oh my gosh. 50 years later, still the same conundrum. It's just different, same thing. So that was really fun. And then the Eleanor Roosevelt book is a lot of that too, because it's so much of her struggle. By the way, I really do enjoy this volume. It's a 3-volume biography of her. And the reason I started listening to it is because we had just finished, I think, a Ken Burns 5-ish part documentary series on the Roosevelts. So Teddy, focusing primarily on Teddy and Franklin. But also other members of their family throughout. And so Eleanor is featured fairly prominently, but there's so much of her that piques interest, but then is just not explored. And again, I understand it's limited. So I really did want to learn more about her, and she is just Did you hear me not trying to say interesting? Oh my goodness. But to see her model humbleness, compassion for her fellow person. She's always had financial privilege, but she's not had a lot of she's not had a good interpersonal relationships throughout her whole formative years. And and to see her grow as a person through that, to go from not having a reflection of self, do you know what I mean? To kind of trying to do things to curry favor with people she wanted to like her mother-in-law and stuff like that. And she said they didn't go into detail about some of the letters that she wrote with her mother-in-law, but it alluded to that there were classist and racist and problematic in many ways. But again, that she was reflecting these ideals back to the person in a way to try to form a relationship that could be solid for her. But how she evolved from that into being a woman more closer to my age, in her 40s and her midlife, where she is had a complete 180 she never was a complete anarchist, in terms of her social relationships. She did toe a line to a certain extent. But she was much more able to venture out on her own, in terms of her social relationships and her political philosophies and her ideas about how we should distribute wealth and how we should support people in our communities. And it's just very inspiring to see that, to not only, like, I mean, obviously I sympathize with her later, many of her later political policies and her sociological leanings. That phrase is probably not right, but you know what so I feel like I'm drawn to her for that, but I really enjoy seeing the progress of her moving into that place. And especially as a woman of upper class, like, you know, she was a debutante. She put her daughter through debutante stuff. And to see her become more selfless and become more aware of the people around her was really an interesting process. And I'm only, I don't know, am I like halfway? Like, Franklin has not gotten elected yet, so there's much more to come. But it is a 3-part series, and it's available on my library through the Libby app, so you might check yours to see if it's there. It is dense. Well, I mean, as you imagine, like a 3-part biography would be. There are some times where I'm like, this is too much detail, and it's a little bit harder to skim in an audiobook than it is in a physical book. But neither here nor there. I'm still enjoying it quite a bit. But there are points where I'm like, okay, especially like in the like early part where we were talking about like, you know, the Roosevelt branches and like they're coming to be. I was like, this is just yeah, this is a little too much detail. And even now, like, you know, you get some like, I'm like, I'm not interested in this lunch that she's having with these people. But overall, I'm enjoying it quite a bit. And that would be my only, it's not a complaint, my only reservation for recommending it. That might be a better, it just depends on like how much you want to know about Eleanor Roosevelt. Like, maybe you should just watch the Ken Burns series and then decide how much you want to know about Eleanor Roosevelt. I'm okay with knowing this much about Eleanor Roosevelt. I might have been okay with 2 volumes instead of 3, but I don't know. We're going to find out. But it does explore a lot more of her relationships that are just not at all, well, they're just not explored in other Roosevelt for whatever reason, because they might have been more romantic relationships that she had outside of her marriage, because Franklin had many. Or they might be more just complicated relationships with other women that they just didn't know how to touch on in a documentary, but it's fascinating. There's also a book called, I think it's called Eleanor and Hick, which I also am interested to read about, which is about her relationship with a reporter. It's called Eleanor and Hick. It's about her relationship with a reporter, and now I can't remember what the woman's name is, but she's known as Hick. And so that's also available in my library, but I think I'll maybe go to that one next, because they're just now starting to talk about her relationship with Hick, because again, we've just now started on Franklin's, just gotten the nomination to run as president. So enjoyable. So the How to Read a Book by Mortimer is definitely more dense. So I'm taking it slow. Part of, I think, me even just starting to read it, and I am listening to it in part 2 because my library had it. Part of it is just beyond what I'm going to hopefully learn from the book. Will be just trying to, just its presence, I'm hoping, will remind me that I need to have a better dialogue with what I'm reading. Part of that is just like, you know, my daughter's not reading what I'm reading. My husband's not reading what I'm reading. And so, like, any dialogue that happens in my brain. And so, you know, I think part of quarantine is being like, yes, we should clearly start a book club. I was like, maybe we should start a Zoom book club. And then I was like, really? Do I want to do that? Like, I'm not at all qualified to do that. But you know what I mean? So like part of it is just like realizing like, oh, it's helpful to have discourse that's not just totally internal. But I mean, I can work on my internal processes of thinking. And that's something I want to do. Oh my gosh, is that a lot of talking? It sure was. What else is on my list? I think that's all. Oh yeah, home learning. All my people out there helping the young folks get through their home learning. And by the way, when I say this, it is not at all like I have taught in our public school system for a brief period of time. It taught me that I'm too much of a control freak to teach in our school system. I think I'm a good teacher. I'm just not a good teacher of like 35 humans 7 times a day. That's what I feel about myself. I could be wrong, but that's my assessment. Oh, so this is not at all like this is just like affirming how hard it is to be a teacher in America. I hope you understand that that's what I'm saying, but oh my goodness, home learning with these children. So my kiddo is in Algebra 1, pre-algebra, something like that, as a 7th grader. It's like I don't know what's going on in her day. But you know what I mean? Like, I feel like those demarcations are kind of just all fluid in terms of like what is considered pre-algebra versus what's considered algebra. Like, it's fluid. But we were doing the home learning section on fractional exponents, and I was just like, dial it back. Like, I was a math teacher when I was a teacher. Like, I have an undergraduate degree in mathematics. So like, I actually really think fractional exponents are fun. Like, I dig like that process of like shaking them down, and I find it highly enjoyable. But like, we're doing that, and it's, by the way, like so fast. Like, the unit on fractional exponents was, and again, this is partly because we're going from like in-class learning to online learning, and like they're not sure what to do with the kiddos because like they don't have like packets for, like, our school system did a lot of packets for kids because not all kids have access to internet or devices to access the internet. But our high school kids they're trying to do online learning for them. So these junior high kids kind of fall in the middle where the junior high packet is really not going to be new material for them. So they're trying to like let them bump up and to do the high school units. And so I think there is obviously some sort of mashing up issue with that. But neither here nor there. This unit on fractional exponents was like so short. And if you don't know what fractional exponents are, that's fine. But what they are is basically a way to write like a square root of something. But instead of writing that like, you know, fun little square root sign or the cube root or the fourth root, you write it as a fractional exponent. So instead of having x squared, you might have x to the 1/2, which just means the square root of x. And the reason you do that is because it's just easier to manipulate things and to like I said, shake them down if you were doing that versus like cube roots and fourth roots and whatever. It's the same concept. It's just a different way to notate it that makes it easier to kind of simplify things in the end. But it's like an abstract thing, right? Like, it's not a concrete, I mean, it is technically a concrete, but it's not as easy to show in a physical way. And it takes some practice to manipulate these things, let alone have understanding of how or why you're manipulating them in the way that you are. So we're doing this, and then I'm like, and it's kind of being like, it's a little, she's doing fine, but she's definitely on the path of like, I just want to know the steps because I can memorize the steps to do this versus like why I'm doing these steps, which I understand. I was like that at that age, and then understanding came later. So whatever gets you through the day, clearly understanding is better, but we are where we are. And so we're doing that. And then I'm like, okay, so we finished this like hellish route through. It's not hellish, but it's intense. So I finished this and then I'm like, okay, so like, let me just check in about what's going on with science. Like, let's look at what we're going to do for science. Science is like a worksheet about igneous rocks. What are you doing in social studies? Social studies is like questions, like these reflection questions on COVID-19. Okay, that's applicable. Don't get me wrong. I'm not, and I mean, I'm happy that we know about igneous rocks. Lit. We're doing Scarlet Letter. So I'm not upset about any one of those things, right? And like but one of these things is not like the others. Like one of these things is cognitively like, and I'm a person who really enjoys math. So please don't think I'm like, math is hard. Like that's not what I was saying. But like, just like the brain, like one of these things is not equivalent in any way to the other things. And I don't know why we insist on doing that. And by the way, this is not like only in this situation. Like when I taught high school math for a while, we did team teaching and I was teaching geometric proof, which I actually really enjoy. I think it's a super valid thing to teach. It's not like I'm saying that these things are not valid things to teach, any of these things. And I'm not saying like, well, when is this going to apply to real life? Because it's not what I'm saying at all. That's completely separate from anything I'm saying. But, and so I'm teaching geometric proof, and I think geometric proof is fun. I think it's a great way to talk about logic in a more abstract way. And it's a great way, like so much of learning is not necessarily what you're learning, but the methods that you're using to learn it. It's about expanding your brain so that it can do different work. And geometric proof is an amazing example of that. At the same time, the fact that we're teaching geometric proof and then in the science class they were talking about the core, the mantle, and the crust of the earth, I was just like, no. What is that triangle? What is the mass? What is, no, that's the needs. But there is like a triangle, right? About like knowledge and comprehension and like, those are not on the same, like those are not even adjacent levels. Those are like on the opposite ends of the thing. And I think it's really disrespectful to both of those topics. I don't know. But like those... This is why we could... Math is hard. Yes, it is hard. But maybe it would seem less hard if other things were slightly more hard. And maybe this thing was slightly less hard. But anyway, I'm just saying. And that is not to say that teachers have control. Back that up again. I know that teachers are not dictating what contents are... Like, I know the math teacher is not just like, yes, I'm going to throw exponential exponents, fractional exponents in here for funsies. No, I know that that is not dictated by the classroom teacher. I know that that is not a decision made at that level. That is a... I don't even know where that decision is made, quite frankly. Because it's not even made at your, like, local school board. I don't even know. I don't even know who to complain to about this. But those two things are not alike. And that's what I have to say. I also have to say, mad props to all the folks out there who are helping the kids through this stuff. Yes, good job. But really, ultimately, just make sure they can stand up and make sure they're sleeping well, and maybe just a vegetable now and again. Just not all the time. Just like it. Basically, I'm just saying, if you're keeping your people upright, kudos is what I am saying. Kudos. We have so many other things to chat about. You know, I feel like I've been chatting for 8 years. Oh my gosh, 27 minutes left on my battery. We'll talk about flower seeds next time. But I do want to say the word portulaca. 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 That's what my mama said, portulaca. Okay, I'll just talk about it. So I got some flower seeds from Seedville, USA, which is they are on Etsy. And they're in Canton, Ohio. And I decided that I wanted some flower seeds to put up in my, I'm going to put some hanging baskets out, which is hilarious because I always kill them. But this year, I think Tova's going to take care of them because Tova's been super up on the planting random seeds. She may have started 6 pumpkin plants in her room. Just saying. And so these are her hobby seeds, quite frankly. And I'm happy to invest in that. So we got some portulaca, which I can totally remember my mama saying. We've got some pastel carpet Elysium, black-eyed Susan vine. Have you seen those? Those are so cute. And then we got some other things for the garden, but we'll see. Oh my goodness. They totally sent me lupine seeds as a bonus, and I am really excited about it. I'm really excited about it. But so yeah, Tova's totally taking over. We planted our potatoes. Did I tell you that last time? Have we done that since last time? I don't even remember anymore. We're trying potatoes this year, and I think things are going okay. There was a scare where the raccoons might have dug some up, but apparently they didn't. They dug between the rows. Thanks, raccoons. But it did make me put up fencing. And then I was like, I may start hanging out my dirty undershirts just to stink up the place so the raccoons don't come in my garden. Last year they didn't give us any trouble at all. This year I'm a little bit concerned. We're going to just have to see how it goes. Also, just gonna tell the things. Also, I got this Sashiko kit. Olga Jazzy Knits. Oh my gosh, her name just would not come out of my mouth. She posted that she had gotten one, and or not. She didn't post that she got this specific thing, but she got some supplies. Maybe she did get a kit. Now that I say that. But anyway, so she posted about it, and I was like, oh, I have been wanting to try that. And then I went over, and their kits, they had this color combination. So I had to buy that. So they shipped super fast too. Like, where were they? I can't remember now where they are. But I ordered it, and it was here like 3 days later. It was fast. They were on it. Like a bonnet. But so right, I had to because there was those colors together. So you get the fabric, and then you get the thread, and you get some needles. And the fabric comes with this directions, which is I'm assuming is in Japanese. And then there's an English side that tells you project suggestions, and then some basics on the techniques. And the cloth is actually pretty big. So this is actually folded in half. So is it like almost, it's more than a yard. And I would say, what is that, like 20-ish inches deep? Apparently it is, well, I can't read that. Is it 50 centimeters by 108 centimeters? Maybe. I don't know. It's 100% cotton. And then this, the stitch markings wash off. So part of me thinks that this should be like I could back it with something else, and then this could be like the yoke of a ruby top. What do you think? Do you have ideas about what you would do with it? So you could like piece it out however you want it. The suggestions are like tote bag, tea towel, something else, coasters. It is a little bit translucent. I don't know if you can tell. Yeah, you can tell that. Okay. So, I mean, I would definitely line it, but I think that might be cute. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. But I am excited about it. I'll try to remember to put the... Oh, I could probably just look on Olga's Instagram. My husband has texted me. Hopefully it's nothing important. That's right, because I'll forget. And then you'll be like... Where did you get that? Okay, thank you for being patient while I tried to find that. Apparently I can't. I'm going to try to find it though to send to you, to put in the show notes. Let's talk about knitting. This is a podcast about knitting. How could you not tell? Oh my goodness. Okay, knitting. What do we have? What are we doing? Crochet. I know I just said it was about knitting. Oh my gosh, I have fallen down such a rabbit hole of insanity. I am in so much trouble, you all. So, is it Broad Ripple Knits? I think it was Broad Ripple Knits in August. Somebody posted their granny sweater, which is like a granny stripe sweater, granny stripe cardigan. Yes, it was Broad Ripple Knits. And I'm not crediting you, and I'm sorry, I am the worst. But if you look under Ripple Knits, you can see her beautiful face there. Do you see her granny stripe cardigan? So if I'm not mistaken, this was posted way on back in August. And it's been spinning around in my brain ever since. How is that even possible? I wasn't even doing crochet in August, was I? No, it wasn't. But anyway, it's been in there. It's been bouncing around. And so now it's not bouncing around anymore. So for some reason, oh, it's these stupid kerchiefs. I'm enjoying making the kerchiefs so much. So last time I had my kerchief, thank you so much for everybody who complimented my kerchiefery. Since then, because kerchiefery is totally a word. Don't be ridiculous. Since then, I've started another one. This is leftovers. I made a sock head, or a Midas hat. This is Nomadic yarns, and this is one of her like Weasley colorways. I think it's like the Burrow or something. I can't remember anymore. But I started to make a kerchief out of it. Shut up. And it is. Right? Are you dying? Are you dead? Pick yourself up. It's okay. Ugh. It's really enjoyable to knit this stupid thing. And of course, I was instantly like, I just should have this as a sweater. Because I'm made of dollars. I cannot imagine how much self-striping, hand-dyed, crocheted sweater for me would cost. It would be like $9 trillion. Because crochet takes up so much yarn. But I mean, is it not gorgeous? Okay, but so then I was remembering that sweater. And it is called, that's not what it's called. Granny Cardi. Granny. Cardi, C-A-R-D-I. Is that really what it's called on Ravelry though? Because now I think about it, I'm not entirely sure. Anyway, it is a crocheted fingering weight granny stripe cardigan. Now it is knit in triples, like triple crochets, and the granny squares I've been doing in these are with double crochets. So I'm not, and see, it's not called a granny cardi in here. Oh, there it is. It's called a good vintage cardigan, and it's by Fran Morgan. Update. It only goes up to like a size 46, which is ridiculous. I still bought it. Sometimes we have to betray ourselves. But then, so it looks like this. That's the pattern picture. You might be like, okay, and that would be legitimate. But again, I'm enjoying making these stupid granny cardigan kerchief things. Gosh, really though, with my face. With the size C hook and the superwash 75/25 yarn. I'm enjoying it so much that I was like, yes, clearly I've enjoyed making this tidy thing. I should make a 56-inch sweater for myself. So many drugs. But then I'm just showing you this one. I'm dying. Miss Michelle Bell, who has a podcast, has a YouTube channel. Sorry. Her Ravelry name is Miss Michelle Bell. B-E-L-L-E. She has one. Look at her. Look at her. Are you looking at her? She's wearing it with overalls. She wins. Oh my gosh. Gus almost spilled my coffee. So not only is it cute, all of the colors are inspired by Beatrix Potter characters. Like there's the yellow for Jemimiah's ducklings. There's the like a mauve color for her, or the pink color for her kerchief. There's the green is for Jeremy Fisher. There's like, there's a blue for the Peter's jacket, and then the background color is supposed to be for the bunnies. Something is for Hunka Munka, but now I can't remember what it is. Really? Really? And it's made out of pallet. So, like, even for my size, I think it's only like, okay, that's not cheap. It's like $100, but I mean, for a crocheted sweater, it's inspired by Peter's bought it. I'm not making it, but I might know how much it costs because I might have just had a fantasy cart going. Maybe. Just saying. Probably I did. I don't even really know that I wanted crocheted palette. Like, I'm specifically enjoying the like smooth superwash merino nylon. And I think one of the reasons I'm like really excited about it is because I'm like, I don't usually love to knit with that, especially like in a sweatery thing. And I'm like, well, this would be a great way to use up some of that superwash merino nylon sock yarn that I have, would be to make like a scrappy cardigan. But that was a fun diversion because that is so cute I could die. It's gonna run out of battery in like 3 seconds. But, so I definitely cast on one. Because I'm so crazy. Okay, so I have Leading In Fiber Arts. Here are the colors. So ridiculous. I have this Handspun, and it is Organic Polworth in the Bedtime Stories colorway. It's dyed by Hello Yarn. I have 2 of these big babies. So that's going to be like the main color-ish. By the way, is it consistently fingering weight? No, it's probably more like consistently sport, bordering on DK. I do so many things that are ill-advised. Whatever. But look at it with this. Of course, I have to make it. So here's this. And then I have this Buoy from HIpString in the Urchin colorway. And then I have this Leading In Fiber Arts non-superwash fingering weight. This is Gothic Queen. Gus, you are so ready to spill my coffee. This is Vengeance. This one is Heirloom. Are you dying? Of course you are. Don't die, get up. And then this is some MadelineTosh Leopard. My shoulder's so jacked up again. Here, let's just get all the individual colors so you can see them. It's so romantic. This is so way too chunky, but I couldn't resist. Hush. So I've cast on. By the way, what's up with crochet and your seriously limited cast on options? Like, you cast on for knitting, it's like there's 9,000 ways to do it. You cast on for crochet, chain, 8 million. What? I don't even like that as a cast on. That is not flexible at all. I'm judging your crochet cast on, not yours. I'm judging crochet for its cast on options. There are other options I did find. Well, I found a few, but I'm sure it has a lot more to do with my inexperience than anything else. But I did look. Look at these. See this? I had to chain like 300. Because of course it's like an all-in-one. It's like you crochet from the pim up. So this is the border, which is just some double crochets. Insane. But I couldn't help it. I was in love with those colors together. And I would have normally, maybe, I might have even normally convinced myself that I should just buy the, and now I just want to say hunka munka all the time. I think I would have normally just told myself to just buy the pastel insanity. Because it's springtime. I don't know, why do I want to make a pastel granny stripe cardigan? What's wrong with me? So probably normally I would have just been convinced myself that I could wait the 2 days until the yarn came. It's more than 2 days, but now it's like, no, because it might be like 2 weeks before things come, or 3, and I definitely can't wait that long. I've got to cast this on pronto. So I'm just forging ahead. Whatever, the handspun will be fine. It'll be fine. Even though it's sports to DK, it'll be fine. Because instead of doing like 3 triple crochets, if it's too fat in chunks, I could just do 2 triple crochets, and it'll be as wide as a normal 3 or something. But maybe I'll do double crochets. I don't like it design. I love how tiny the double crochets are. Maybe I'll just do the doubles. I can't decide. Anyway, so that's my current obsession. How many minutes left? Oh, I've got to stop us and then go get a battery pack. Or I mean a plug. Because I'm definitely going to run over. Thought I could maybe get finished, but forgot I had to like squee about this stupid cardigan for 40 minutes. Lunatic. Alright, I'll be back in a second. So that's in crochet news. Let's move on to knitting. I did knit a little bit more on my sweater. I'm not going to show it to you because I just knit, actually I didn't knit very much because I had to spend like 2 days figuring out how I was going to crochet this cardigan. But here's another thing I've been, so I'll show you that next time. Hopefully I'll have more done on it. But I wanted to show you my progress on my Bubble Hearts hat by BumbleBee Acres Farm, designed by Samantha Troia. So they sent me their pattern. They also have a pattern for a cowl if you prefer a cowl. And then they sent me yarn. And here it is so far. Oh my gosh, right. So my colorways are in their non-superwash worsted. My colorways are Pot of Gold, Duchess, and Violet. And their base is called Bumblebee Worsted, which is 100% USA Targhee. It's so cute. Okay, I'm trying to figure out what's the best way to show you. So it has a hemmed brim, and then it has these cute little hearts on it. And they're actually, excuse me, they're actually totally fun to knit. And I think it's a great thing to knit it with a non-superwash. Now, you can definitely knit it with superwash. It's fine. As you can see, this one is knit with 3 colors, and their samples are knit with 3 colors. But you could easily do it with 2 colors. If you're doing 3 colors, you need 2 of the same value, essentially, and then 1 that's significantly different. What are you doing, buddy? It's okay. So you can definitely do it with non-superwash, but I would say if you're maybe a new knitter, well, I wouldn't even say that, but I really do like doing it with a non-superwash because this involves dropping a stitch. Now, the way it's written and the way that, you know, the very nice tutorial instructions sheet did, you put your needle down, like you put your, okay. So for example, on this one, I would put my needle in like that. Oh my gosh, this is so non-illustrative for you. It's like you're knitting into 3 stitches below the needle, the stitch on the needle. Okay, it's one of those things, or 6 stitches or whatever. It's one of those things, but you also drop down the column above it. So, so you have like 3 ladders, for example, on top of your stitch. So you can definitely do that where you put your needle into that stitch and then just pull your ladders up so that you don't lose that stitch. But you can also just do it without putting your needle into the stitch. You could just like pick the stitches out down to the one that you need and then put your needle in and then do the stitch. That probably made no sense to you. It's nice to have a non-superwash wool because it's easier to do the stitch like I like to do it because it sticks to itself. So like when you drop this live stitch off that you're undoing this column of stitches, it doesn't like rip down all to the bottom like, whoa! It's like it's sticky enough that you can pick them out and not worry that you're going to lose the stitch that you want to knit into. So anyways, that was probably not. I'm enjoying doing it in non-superwash wool. How about that? You might too. So there it is. And then this is what it looks like before you do the tuck stitch or the stitch below. So like I'm only like halfway through this row. You can see on the first row I'm doing the like making the little puffy hearts. Friggy dirt. It's really cute. You might be able to see the hearts better on this side. Right? Super cute. Very enjoyable. Recommend. Love. Stamp of approval. I don't know. You're definitely going to get at least 2 hats out of it, but I'm thinking you'll probably get 3, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. And then the last thing I have to show you is a new thing. I cast on Stephen West's Pierre. Why do I think it's Pierre shawl. Ow, bam. There we go. Now it's knit in a gradient. It's DK, 4 colors. You need less than 200 yards of each color. Finished measurements are 86-inch wingspan, 25-inch depth. Are those all the things you need to know? I think so. It's crescenty. Crescenty, half circle-y, something in between. So I cast on. And here's what I have so far. It's so enjoyable, y'all. I had to stop myself. Luckily that granny cardigan helped. Look at it. Shut up. Are you kidding me? This is not my usual colorways. This is for a gift. And I am using fingering weight held double instead of DK. This yarn, most of this yarn was a gift to me because I am the luckiest person ever. You know it. I know it. It is known. The first skein is this, and it is Farmer's Daughter Fibers in Foxy Lady. 70% superwash merino, 30% silk. Color is Bad Girls Club, Vigilante Edition. So that's that one. This one is a Hedgehog Fibers Skinny Singles Unknown colorway. I lost the tag. This one is Hedgehog Fibers Skinny Singles Rose Gold colorway. Love it. And then my final color will be something I got at SSK last year. Urban Girls Yarns. Her fingering weight. 90% superwash merino, 10% nylon. 480 yards to 125 grams. So that will be the border. What? Are you excited? I'm pretty excited. So the way I'm doing it is that in the pattern as written, you use your first color. So for like color A, I just used the first color doubled. And then you move into a section that's striped between color A and color B. Instead of striping it, I just went down to one strand of color A and one strand of color B. So that's this section right here. So normally that would be striped. And then when I transitioned into color B, into color B, then I just went to 2 strands of my color B. So I dropped the color A altogether, went to 2 strands of color B. And now I'm, so the transition from B to C, you don't stripe, you just move from B to C, but I went ahead and did a transition where I'm doing B and C together. And that's where I am now. Right? Right. Okay, yeah. So now I'm holding B and C together. And then as soon as I finish this triangle section, I'll go to C together, then I'll do CD, then I'll do just D. So we'll see how it works out with my yardages. I'll post. But this is just such an enjoyable knit. Between getting to do the striping and then again, just having like a section that changes after, 13 or 14 rows, like it varies depending on which row we're talking, which texture section. It is a great antidote if you feel like you're just not, like whatever right now, just do what you want to do. But if you're wanting to knit and you're just feeling like you're just not in the mood to knit what you're knitting, this is a great antidote to that, because between getting to play and stash and finding something that works together, and you don't have to do a fade, or it just worked out that I happened to have that fade in the colors I needed, that I could piece that together. But there's definitely options that are just 4 different colors. What was I saying? Between playing with, finding yarns that are going to work for you. Again, it's written for DK. I'm just holding fingering weight doubled. And then again, you're having these texture bands. So it's like you can finish a chunk and feel like you've accomplished something. Plus, then you're also switching out colors, which is another like, oh, I get to do something different and see what it looks like. So between all of those 3 factors, it's really, and of course, Stephen West's patterns are always pleasurable to knit. Even if you get to the point where you're like, okay, Stephen, there's like 900 stitches on this row and I've got 84 stitch markers. Even on those rows, you're like, okay, but once I get through this row, it'll be okay again. But his pattern, that is to say, I feel like he does do things as economically as possible, as economically as possible. That doesn't mean financially economically. But he writes a pattern that is not at all clunky. Like lots of his patterns are just like 2 pages long. He is aware of how to knit something and get a finished object that is beautiful, but to do it in a very graceful way. There are certain patterns I have started, not his, there are other folks' patterns that I've started to knit and been like, this is the clunkiest way to do this. And I understand that might be the only way to do this thing, is in a clunky way. But sometimes I'm just like, that's not worth it to me. It's not worth it to do that thing for me. I enjoy my product and my knitting, but I enjoy the process of knitting. And when it feels like it's like going at this process with a hammer, I'm not interested. I want something that feels fluid and moves me through the pattern in a way that I understand, and therefore can just, I can refer back to the pattern, but I don't have to like look at the pattern and count everything. And so, yeah, because I can do those things. It's not that. It's just that I don't want to do those things. Highly recommend. Also really pretty. Yes. Why does it smell so good, by the way? Is that just how Farmer's Daughter's yarn smell? Smelling different sections to see. I don't know, but it smells nice. I don't know if I showed you the right side. I don't think I did. Probably not. Whatever. You got it. You figured it out. Right. And by the way, this is like, this is the only thing I knit for like the first week after we docked. Enjoyable. Okay, so I think that's enough of me talking at you now. You're like, that was enough of me talking to me 40 minutes ago. Well, you could have just stopped. There's no test at the end. Alright. I hope you can find good moments in your week. I will do a hat episode, I think, for you. This, like, maybe tomorrow. And we'll talk again. Annie says goodbye. By the way, we totally got Gus more pajamas. I'm not gonna lie, we did. Annie's feeling better. She's right here. Do you want to say hi? Not really. She sends her love. to you next time.